Hello and welcome to today's video, the next in my series of Monteverde Mania March. This is the series where I'm spending the entire month of March reviewing inks by Monteverde, and I am loving it. And I'm especially loving it because today I get to review this ink, which is one of my absolute favorite inks on the planet. This is Monteverde California Teal, and it is a beautiful rich emerald teal green. Nice lighter shading and plenty of sheen. Now, I don't love sheen on inks, particularly like super sheen inks. I like a bit of halo sheen. And so you mainly get halo sheen with this ink. Like you see around the writing, it's still plenty of the green. And that's what I particularly like about it. So let's talk about it. Let's show it on some paper, do some tests, all that kind of stuff. This is the bottle it comes in, the standard 30ml, and also there's the larger 90ml bottle. I'm showing the 30s as part of this series. Glass bottle, this one has one of the plastic caps. So depending on which ink you get and where you get it, depending on which run, it's either a plastic or a metal cap. And standard bottle, and let's look at it. Here we have it on 68 GSM Tomoe River paper. I had it in two pens, the TWSBI Go Extra Fine and Broad. So nice, you can see the green there once again, looks really, really great. Let's talk about the 5 points. Firstly, I said this about the other inks, and I'll continue to say it about all of them. Monteverde inks are really, really great value. We'll talk about the price in a little bit, but yeah, I think mil for mil, they are one of the better priced ink brands. They have this thing called ITF technology, which is a technology included in the ink, like in the chemical makeup of the ink, that makes it super safe for fountain pens, of course, but also it does things like it improves, the ink flow and stops clogging and stops dry time on an exposed nib and all of those kinds of things. So yeah, really nice that they've made the effort to improve the ink while not, sort of putting it into anything, while maintaining the credibility of the ink, I suppose I should say. The ink is made for Monteverde in Austria, and these are very, very high quality inks. California Teal is part of the standard or core run, so it's not one of the box set inks. It's not from the Jungle set or the Noir set or anything like that. Standard run. And a personal note on this ink is that this is my favorite ink color family. Now, while I talk a lot about things like blue-black inks and loving those and loving purple inks as colors, I think I find myself always with an ink in this sort of color family inked up at a time. So things like Robert Oster Tranquility and, the inks we're going to look at as comparisons today, Aurora und Klingner's Smaragdgrün. So yeah, like these sort of greeny, tealy, emerald colors with a nice little hint of sheen are my favorite ink color family. Let's talk about the performance. Okay, so it's got excellent flow. It's almost what I would consider wet. You can see here the 2-second dry time versus the 20-second dry time. So it's still wet after 20 seconds. This is Tomoe River paper, so the dry time is longer. But it's not super, super wet to the point where you can't use it, regularly. It's got fair to good performance. It leans towards good in that spectrum. We'll see it on some other papers in just a minute. It's got good saturation, but it is a fair cleaning ink. So lots of depth of color on the page. It takes a little bit to wash out, perhaps because of some of that saturation. Like you do have to give a thorough clean out if you're using something like a vac filler or the Con 70 pilot converter or something like that. You might just want to take a little bit of extra care, but in standard cartridge converter pens, absolutely fine. Excellent contrast on the page, both in the light and the dark shading. It's clearly visible. It's vibrant but rich with a medium dry time, I've said there. And as I said, excellent value. I think it's really great. The extras on this ink, it's got good shade, nice sheen, no shimmer, and it's not permanent, as we can see there in the water test. It moves around a lot in the water brush triangle. We do get like a lot of movement from a relatively small amount of actual ink on the page. Let's look at it on some other paper now. We start with student notepad paper here. This is Spyrex notepad paper, very basic, affordable paper. The color I still think looks great. It's a beautiful green. You can see the dry time on this paper, which is super absorbent. It's still quite wet. And on the reverse of that page, like it does bleed through where we get a lot of like ink put down, but I think for the most part it actually performs okay. We also see that here on the copy paper. This is standard office copy paper, 80 GSM reflex copy paper. There's a little bit of feather happening, you know, as you would expect on these non-fountain pen friendly papers, but the color once again is nice, and I think the performance actually isn't the worst. Like, these are not fountain pen friendly papers, and you wouldn't use a super wet broad nib on these papers if you could avoid it, but this is what it looks like when you do. And lastly, we have it here on Rhodia, and I think Rhodia is good fountain pen paper. Like, not the best on the market, but it is good, and you'd expect it to look like this. Hits of that halo sheen, nice sort of rich teal color, beautiful sort of, you know, tight lines, no spreading and all those kinds of things, a little bit of movement with the water. And then if we look at the reverse, as you would expect, nothing comes through. This is one of the better performing highly saturated Monteverde inks, in my opinion, from the ones that I've used. I think this one holds up, I would say. Back to the Tomo River paper here, and we can look here at the chromatography. All that beautiful green, light greens through to sort of more emeraldy green, and then a bright, vibrant blue, which really like brings out the pop on this ink on the page, in my opinion. And while we're here, let's do these little color comparisons I spoke about. So we've got Monteverde California Teal. These are coloring cards, so, you know, super fountain pen friendly. And then I have Robert Oster Tranquility and Rohrer und Klingner's Smaragdgrün. Now, these are emerald teal green inks in that kind of family. You can see similarities in the lighter shading across all of them, and you can see similarities between the Robert Oster and the Rohrer und Klingner in terms of the middle shading, but where California Teal takes that next step is just in the depth of color. It's a slightly more saturated ink than the other two, and that also allows that little bit more sheen. Like the Rohrer und Klingner has sheen, I don't know if it's picking up, like around the edges where it's pulled. Robert Oster is much more pronounced, but the California Teal kind of ends up with these like sheening like waves as the ink has sort of swept across and sort of laid down, you know, nice amounts of the ink. And all these swabs are sort of done in vaguely the same kind of way. So, you know, it just, these are properties of the ink. So let's now talk about the price of this ink. So the 30ml bottle here, simple bottle does the job. In the US, it is around the $10 mark, and in Australia, around the $12.95. So the conversion, pretty good. And as I said, mil for mil, pretty great value in my opinion. So the score, I've given it a 4 out of 5. A lot of these Monteverde inks are coming in around this point simply because they are good quality inks. They perform really well. They've got great colors. As I said, this is a really attractive ink. One of Monteverde's most popular. It gets, you know, like a bit of press, Fountain Pen World press, because it is such a beautiful green with some lovely sheen. It's got a good performance, and it's nice on the page, so it feels nice to write with because it's got nice flow. It's a very smooth ink. It's a very high quality ink, and an ink I personally really enjoy, and I hope you do too if you have the chance to use it. So this was Monteverde California Teal. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notifications button if you want to stay up to date with the videos that I produce, and please feel free to get in touch using any of the platforms listed below. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there is a way you would like to support the channel by sponsoring a review or providing an item or review, I would love to hear from you. A big thank you to Monteverde and its Australian affiliates for providing products for this video series. Not all of them, but a number of them were provided by Monteverde, or as I said, all their Australian affiliates. So thank you to them. It's their support that makes this channel possible, and makes this month of Monteverde reviews possible. So in the meantime, enjoy your inks, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.